Ladies and creatures and gentlemen, welcome back to the oh man, I just messed that up. The podcast show for the average Joe. I'm your host, Mitchell Roulane. This is the Wrestling Diaries. And it's funny, that tagline, the podcast show for the average Joe, I got a little story to tell about that, and it's related to my today's guest. As always, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and a plethora of other platforms that host podcasts to listen to our content and follow and share and all that good stuff. Also, for the video content, for the vodcast, the vidcast, check us out on YouTube. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to get updated on all of our content. We release weekly, usually about midweek. Check us out. Show us some love. Today, a really great, awesome, cool, and super sweet friend of mine that I met through a digital media school-esque thing, Miss Tara Phoenix.
Hello.
How'd you like that introduction?
I loved it.
Was it too over the top, wasn't it?
No.
What I was going to, the story I was going to say was, one of our taglines is the Wrestling Diaries, the podcast show for the average Joe. You know where I came up with that? Or what? Do you know why I came up with that tagline, Tara?
No, I do not.
It was you.
Me?
Yes, 100%. In fact, there was an episode, and I don't know which one it was. We've had a lot of them now. But I was explaining that to somebody. I was like, yeah, that tagline, the podcast show for the average Joe, actually came from a friend of mine named Tara from Colorado when I had a phone conversation with her. And she was saying like I had a voice for this, and talking to me was cool. And you called me the average Joe Rogan or something like that. And then I started thinking, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, hey, and the show that I have on is like, I want to like talk to or interview, as they say, which is not what I do. Have conversations with regular people from regular parts of society. You don't have to be billionaires and millionaires and celebrities and sports athletes and judges and, all that. But like just average Joes and Janes and all that stuff, and see what they're wrestling with. So I was like, oh, the podcast show for average Joe. She said the average Joe Rogan thing. And I was like, and I created it from that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So, my lady, with your cool Phoenix last name, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name
You're
is
from
Tara.
Colorado.
Yeah, I'm
what
from
part
Colorado.
Of Colorado are you from?
I live in Broomfield, and that's right between Boulder and Denver. It's a suburb, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So I have a great view of the mountains, so the Flatirons, right where the Rocky Mountains start, which is great. And, it's a really quiet place. So quiet in the suburbs, just like how I like it.
Do you, because you're living in the mountainous region, do you do a lot of hiking? I imagine so.
I would, but we might get to the thing that I'm wrestling with, and then I would tell you that I'm not really hiking right now.
Okay. Well, you're taking in all the beautiful scenery and all that really delicious fresh air.
I am.
From the Rockies.
Totally.
Right? So have you're native of Colorado. Were you born and bred there, or were you from somewhere else and then you migrated?
I'm almost a native here. I'm approaching native. I've been here 21 years. And so I grew up in Pennsylvania.
From that's where Mr. Mohan Rengan,
yes.
Dr. Mo's from.
I am just north of where he is from. So I grew up in Hazleton, Pennsylvania.
So why did you move to Colorado from Pennsylvania?
When I got divorced, I started looking for some place to move to. And I went to Seattle for like a long weekend, and San Diego. And I liked both of those places. But Seattle, I was like, it might be too rainy for me. And San Diego, I'm like, I'm not so sure about the people. And then when I came to Colorado, I went to Boulder, and I was like, this is it. I'm going to move here.
Yeah. What appealed about Boulder in that area the most to make you want to stay? Like, what were some of the biggest factors that you're like, oh my gosh, I got to live here, opposed to everywhere else?
The sun 300 plus days a year is awesome. People think it's really cold, but it really transitions pretty fast. We would say we have extreme weather here in Colorado where it could be 70 in the morning and then by the night, maybe it's 30 degrees and snowing.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it can vary a lot. And even if we do get a lot of snow, it usually melts pretty fast or it just just evaporates right out of the air because the air can be very dry here.
Yeah.
So it was like the sunny weather and just the people, they're really awesome. They're very caring, and easygoing. Just the Colorado lifestyle, just like how John Denver sings about it.
Nice. Yeah, my friend Joshua Green, who was on the show as well. I think I told you this the last time we talked on the phone. He was living in Cripple Creek for a little while in Colorado because he's a stage actor and he also plays music. And he was out there and he said that it is cold, but there's no humidity, so like the cold is much more tolerable than it is here in Alabama, where we've got all this humidity in the air and stuff. It just makes things very muggy and slushy, yucky.
I would agree with that statement.
Colorado, it's like more clean. Like it's cold, but the air is cleaner in that way, because of the low humidity and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, I definitely, I had a chance to visit. I used to work for a doctor's office, and I used to travel around with the doctor of the practice, and we'd go to these seminars and things for the things we were doing in the office. And I had a chance to go to Denver, and I didn't something in my schedule didn't line up with that particular trip, and I was so upset because I was like, man, I visited all these other places like the Northeast, the Northwest, out to the West, California, part of the Midwest, but not Colorado. And I really wanted to go to Colorado so bad. And I was so sad that was the trip. I could have missed, because we went to Chicago several times. I was like, I could have missed that once and made the Denver trip. But at some point, I'm definitely got to travel out that way because I want to see it and experience it and go smoke pot and not worry about getting arrested.
Right.
It's a joke. Or is it? Who knows? People that don't know me might be like, oh, is he kidding? You'll never know because you don't know me. How is that, by the way? Just a bunch of potheads running around in Colorado? What does that look like?
I don't know. They've done some studies looking at statistics. Once they made this a law that marijuana is legal, they did some statistics on car accidents and things like that. And they didn't show that car accidents went up. They actually showed that they decreased. So there might be less people using alcohol and getting in a car. And, people are maybe smoking more marijuana instead. And either they're not getting in a car, or if you did get in a car,
drive 20 miles per hour.
You don't want to do that. Yeah, you're going 20 miles an hour. You go slower instead of going faster.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember having a conversation years ago, and it was two people. They were talking about the contrast between alcohol and marijuana, and the guy was like, "Oh, he's like, yeah, you can smoke pot and drive, and it's fine." And then someone's mom was like, "No, that is terrible. You can't. You shouldn't be under the influence of anything." He's like, "No, seriously." He's like, "Because when you're drinking, you're your inhibitions are super low, your coordination's out the window." He's like, "But you're smoking pot. You're actually you're in with all your friends, and they're high." And they're like, "Oh my God, man, you gotta slow down. The cops are coming, man." And you're like, "Oh, I can't slow down anymore. You're right." And then you look at the speedometer, and it's they're going 30 miles in a 50 or something. And they're like, "Oh, oops." And I was like, that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. It makes a lot of sense.
But I mean, that we're talking about somebody not being, I don't know, completely over the edge, because there have been accidents here with people that have had too much, marijuana in their system and caused huge accidents.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So,
yeah, I mean,
I'm not advocating smoking pot and getting in the car.
And getting behind the car, right? I mean, you shouldn't be inebriated at all under anything, right? When you're driving. But I guess
we're just generalizing.
Yeah, right. The
effects.
Comparisons of alcohol and marijuana. Listen to that, kids. Don't drink and drive, obviously, but don't toke and drive either. Just
Stay home. Yeah.
Just stay home.
Just call an Uber. Problem solved.
So Tara, tell anyone listening or watching or what have you, what is it you do? What's going on with you in your life? What are the things that you do? What's your profession? Things like that.
I am in a major transition right now. So I used to work in software, and that was 3 years ago that I got a big settlement, and I took a bunch of time off then. So I'm like in this sabbatical, and I'm just coming out of this sabbatical now because my savings is running low and it's time to get a new job. So I was trying to start some new business stuff, but like with COVID and with even me and whatever I'm wrestling with, I just didn't get it off in time. So I'm going back into software, so I'm looking for a new job right now and interviewing and doing all that.
Now for like just goober head cavemen like me, explain like what it's like. What does it mean to work in software? Like what does that entail exactly?
Well, my last job was in development. So that was with the Java programming language. So it can get really technical, like the more years of experience you have, the more technical things you're doing. So really it's about, I don't know, just implementing like requirements. So I was working on a product that was for, internet television. And I was doing like the authenticating of which channels you were allowed to watch based on your billing information. So when somebody would log in, then a call would be made to our service to determine what channels they're allowed to watch.
Wow. That's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating that was your job.
Yeah.
You heard of stuff like that before, Matt? Because Matt's a tech whiz over here. He knows a lot about software and development stuff and building websites and doing audio and all this stuff that is beyond my tiny little brain. You said you got out of it. You got a settlement or something. Can we talk about that? What was that all about? Like, what do you mean settlement?
It was
sued them or?
No, it was just a corporate buyout. A company was taking over my company and they offered everyone in the company just a bunch of money to quit actually.
So you got a fat ass severance package.
Yeah.
For some company coming in. It's like, yeah, we're taking your job, but we'll throw you a little cheddar cheese.
It kind of doesn't make sense what corporate America does. I don't really understand, why they do the things they do. Sometimes a lot of things they do seem inhumane and it seems non-logical, but I'm not in control of that. So I will just use whatever they're doing to my advantage and what works for me.
So what are you, going back to what you're trying to do now? Like what are you trying to get into now? What's your goals set for yourself professionally?
Really to get somewhere, like where I'm respected and where the work is interesting and fun, and probably some place where I'm mentoring, because I have a lot of knowledge. So I've got like 17 years plus probably of Java experience. So that's wow. A lot. Yeah. So I can be passing that knowledge along.
So would you like to, I guess, start your own software company or like have some kind of coaching program?
Well, right now I'm just going to get a position where the things that I mentioned are like paramount in that position, and there's a lot of companies right now that are looking for people. So it's possible that it's going to work out. Cool.
Yeah. I support you in that. Also, we were talking on the phone because like I told you, like we're in the network right now for trying to get an LLC for the podcast, and the schematics of how that's done. For people listening, though, explain to them what an LLC is and what it's made for.
All right.
If you would, please.
Disclaimer here that I'm not an accountant or anything like that, but an LLC is a limited liability corporation. So what it helps with is instead of being a sole proprietor, when you're a sole proprietor, that means that you can be personally sued and they can take your personal assets. So say you have a disgruntled customer, there's a possibility that they can come after you then and, like take your house or get into your savings or whatever. But if you use a limited liability company, so that's, you look up the names in the state. You have to get a unique name. You file with the state, and then you also file with the IRS. Then you can use that name, and that protects your personal assets. So it's protecting your house, protecting your savings. And so you can't be sued to that point. Only your business could lose, but your personal assets are protected. So it's a personal asset protection.
And tell people how easy it is to get an LLC for any kind of thing that they're trying to do. Because a lot of people don't know about this. I was one of them, I'm still learning about all this crap.
It's pretty easy. What you want to do is just search on Google for the name of your state and search for you probably want to search for business names, that are already taken. So every state, you're going to register this name with the state. So you have to do a search first to make sure that it's unique with the state. Mm-hmm. The other thing in times like these, you probably want to have a website. So you're probably going to want to come up with a website name and also search with that at the same time so you can determine if that website name is already taken or not. And then, maybe even have a list of names so you can go through, okay, this is my first choice. And if that one's taken, my second choice, my third choice. And once you have that, then it's pretty easy to file because you just use the forms on your state's website and you just click through all the pages and fill it in. And it's mostly filling in your name and your address over and over again, on a couple different forms, and then paying the money. So in Colorado, it was $50 to register an LLC. Probably the hardest thing is to decide if you want whatever the name is with a comma LLC, or if you want whatever the name is no comma LLC. And I think the trend now is to have no comma LLC. So, and then you just register.
Diaries LLC.
Yeah. And then you just register with the state, and then they send you an email, confirmation. And then you register with the IRS. And so that's just another form to fill out. And that's pretty easy. It takes, only a minute or two. And then you get a EIN number. So once you have an EIN number, then you can take that sheet of paper to the bank, and then you can get a bank account for a business.
That's really great. Thank you for sharing that information. And I hope anybody listening to that gets a lot out of that. That's very informative. If you're trying to start your own business, or you got something going, you're building a brand, very important to look into this stuff. And it makes you more accountable. You're taking care of business yourself, right? It's good to know this stuff and do this stuff. Like people, if you tired of working for somebody else, well, you got to learn how to do all this shit. Very important. And yeah, so you and me met in this media. I don't even know what the technical description of it was. I guess a business,
starting your online business course,
business accelerator. And we met through that, and then we became really good pals. Do you want to share a little bit of your experience with doing London Real?
I mean, I learned a lot. The pros are that we needed to do a lot of stuff. So it was forcing us every week to learn something new about, whatever online stuff, like building a website and sending out email campaigns and all that kind of stuff. I think the drawbacks were, though, it was kind of run from, masculine energy, which I would have rather it been run from feminine energy, because I thought it was too much driving and not enough soul in it.
What do you mean? Elaborate.
It was always pushing us every week, for all of, everything that was due and whatever. And I don't think it connected enough, with my soul. Was I actually, getting my soul out to people, through what I wanted to do with the business? It's I couldn't even do that because it was too much driving every single week of,
you felt like you weren't expressing yourself honestly enough.
Yeah,
I know that you had a couple of rough patches, some that we chatted with and discussed, and we became really good friends from, because I really liked your energy, your power.
Once that was all over, then I kind of redid it myself with feminine energy and slower pace, asking my soul all the time, is this what I want out in the world? And that kind of worked out better for me. I felt better about it.
You seem like you're in a really good place. Like I was telling you before, you seem a lot more healthier, like in all aspects, just physically, emotionally. Seem a lot healthier. Like when I talked to you on the phone the other day, which I got to give you a special shout out to this because like for people listening to this, I messaged Tara because I hadn't talked to her in a while, wanted to see how she was, and also wanted to invite her to be on the show again because I'd asked you a couple times, but you weren't ready to come on yet. And then you responded by you just called me, and I was like, wow, how many people actually she just called me. And yeah, what did you say? You said, well, it's either because I really like you or I'm just very bored. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd rather it not be the latter, but
I was joking. It's not the latter.
No. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're in a really good headspace. Now you used to be a huge, you might still be, we didn't really, I guess, cover this too much on our phone conversation, but like you're a huge advocate and practitioner of cannabis, marijuana, and all that other stuff. Well, what's your stance on it now? Because you told me you don't really do as much, if I can say that.
Yeah, I found that now it was a bridge. It was a bridge to not doing it as much, right? So I'm not smoking cannabis anymore right now. I'm not practicing any practices with cannabis, and
like at all. Like you're completely dry.
The only thing I'm doing is occasional CBD. So that's a CBD isolate in avocado oil. And
How do you take it?
It's just, a dropper full.
Oh, dropper. Okay.
Right on the tongue. And that's just to help with pain. So that's the only thing that I'm doing right now because I found that I guess I started doing a lot of other practices and I started doing a lot of breathwork practices and yoga with breath work and chanting. And so that has transitioned me to where I'm like, I don't need to do the cannabis anymore. I don't have the pain levels that I used to experience before. And I felt that cannabis was taking away from me getting more into my body. So I want to make sure that I'm getting way deep down and centering into my body. And that was taking me away from that. So
yeah, I understand what you mean in a way. Like not that I've experienced it, but it makes sense thinking on it because some people. I mean, I'm a huge advocate, more of an advocate, less of a practitioner for marijuana, cannabis, etc. But I know that a lot of people can end up using it as like a crutch for themselves, right? Because it's like this natural herbal painkiller,
yeah.
right? And so what ends up happening is you turn that joint or that bong or that whatever into that bottle of pills that this other person's taken. They're swigging back these painkillers and stuff like that, and it becomes this negative crutch that you're using to just shield yourself from the world, from yourself, from your problems, and sometimes that can be a bad thing. I mean, but it's not just, people can use that with anything. People use it with food, with pornography, with sex, with alcohol, with, whatever it is. But
it's the disassociation to avoid dealing with whatever the thing is that you don't want to deal with, if it's pain or some emotion or whatever. Yeah. So for me, I wanted to make sure that I am not disassociating anymore. I mean, with doing all of the practices I've been doing, for the last year, it's just really shown me that I've lived my life in a disassociative way. And that pattern started when I was a little kid. So it was something that started to avoid whatever pain I was feeling, or, overwhelm or whatever when I was small. And I kept on doing that pattern like unconsciously. And then once I discovered it, I'm like, oh, I need to stay on this. And the way to stay on it is through breath work, not through cannabis, actually, because the cannabis was taking me away. It was, I was disassociating again. I was just covering it up or whatever, sidestepping it. And the breath work puts you into it, centers you into it. And then you just go through it and you just keep on doing the breath work. So it's a hard thing to do, but it's very worthwhile because then you uncover another layer of yourself that's been hidden.
Well, I think it's good that it's hard, right? The things, it increases your level of tenacity and discipline, right? When you do hard tasks and stuff like that.
Right. You're getting out of your comfort zone. You're expanding your comfort zone. Then every time you get out of it, you're expanding it.
Yeah. It strengthens you. It evolves the person. Yeah. And it evolves the organism. You're doing difficult tasks and stuff like that. And then the reward is much more sweeter.
Right. You become more of yourself.
Yeah, it's like a simple analogy is like you like taking a cold shower really, really sucks. It feels bad. It's not. I do it all the time, and I've not gotten used to it. Just so anybody listening to this, if you're going to give it a try, you might. I don't. Like I've never gotten used to it. It sucks. It makes me swear and pisses me off every time I do it. It takes my breath away, makes me hyperventilate, whatever. But it makes me appreciate warm showers so much. It makes me appreciate everything. When I turn the dial off, I appreciate the fact that the air around me is not freezing cold anymore, all over my body. And, it's something like that. It's difficult, but the rewards are great. And obviously, there's a lot of health benefits to it, but, I'm not going to get into that. But just the point is like, it's a difficult thing to do, but that it increases my level of strength and durability in life in general.
Yeah, resilience.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely. So, at what point did you come under this realization that cannabis was kind of becoming a sarcophagus to you? Like, at what point did you realize this and that, doing your breath work and all that was the way to go?
Well, I was probably wrestling with that question for like 6 months. And then I think it was right around the winter solstice. So like December 21st, I was just like, I'm quitting.
This is of last year, December 21st?
2020.
2020? Okay.
Yep. I was like, I'm going to quit. And then I just quit. And then I was like, oh, things are different. And I just kept going.
People in your circle, friends, colleagues, family members that I'm assuming knew that you were big into marijuana and stuff like that, were they all like, oh my gosh, you're quitting? I can't believe it. That's crazy.
There's kind of a backstory to the cannabis friends. There's been a parting of the ways, and that happened a while ago. Yeah. And I've had to actually just stop any further, training with cannabis and even dealing with that group. So, because what I discovered is, from my point of view, it's too much. What they were doing was too much darkness. It was all based in duality and attracting a lot of darkness. And what I mean by that is like attracting a lot of people that were, would have sessions with them, and then they'd be like, oh, I think I've been abducted by MK Ultra, or after the session would blame, the practitioner of a whole host of things, which didn't happen. So I was like, I don't want to deal and do anything with that. And I think it's not the right energy for me. Obviously, so let me pull back and, retreat and go a different direction and see what happens.
Yeah. Obviously these motherfuckers were way too high. They were just they were like, I
don't know if that's it, actually.
You don't think so? I don't know. It sounds like it, though. Like they're saying all this weird MK
well, I mean, just think
stuff.
about what's going on in our society or has been going on, how people have been believing the stories, that are all these conspiracy theories that are going around that aren't true, and people are really believing.
Some conspiracies are not conspiracies. Well, that's for another show, but anyways, continue.
Yeah, but just that kind of thing, so it's permeating in our cultural consciousness. And then when people, I don't even know if cannabis is the way to go, because when people smoke cannabis, like I'm saying, if I noticed that I was going outside of myself, and I was losing my center, someone who's inexperienced is probably going outside of themselves and losing their center. And then they're coming back with all of this stuff, so.
What do you mean by inexperienced? Like in what way?
That they're not like a regular cannabis smoker,
Oh, okay.
It's like maybe it's their first time or it's only their third time,
Obviously, that wouldn't apply to everybody, though, right? Because everybody's kind of built differently. And so, like, what about the people that just kind of do it recreationally, like people that have a drink here and there? Just smoke a little joint, get a little high. No big deal.
I think it totally depends. It depends on the personal chemistry. It depends on what kind of cannabis you're smoking. Some cannabis is stronger in the THC than other cannabis.
Very true.
So there's a lot of variables, way lot. It depends how fast your body metabolizes things.
Yeah. Okay.
And it just depends how spiritually centered you are in the first place. How much breath work have you been doing before you decided to do that? Like how centered of a person are you? What if somebody already has a dissociative personality disorder and then they decide to smoke pot? It just compounds their problem by a lot.
Yeah. Or people that are already like, have little traits of schizophrenia, and they're smoking pot. That's probably
exactly
not a good idea. What do you think you'll ever do it again, or you think you just completely swore it off? Think you ever like maybe hit a joint, just hanging out with some friends or something?
I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
But you don't know, but you're not opposed to it. You're not for it, and you're not against it. In other words, right?
Exactly. Just going to be present with the moment.
I like that. Present with the moment. Look at you, you little philosopher. You.
I am a philosopher.
Though. Like you do look a lot healthier than I remember. Like just visually, like looking at.
Well, I've been working hard. You didn't ask me yet what I wrestle with.
Oh well, I mean, we'll get to that.
Okay.
You be quiet, lady. This is my show.
All right. Well, I'll tell you that I've been working on my diet really hard and just the supplements I'm taking and everything like that. Because I got, I had a session with a nutritionist and we went through a bunch of things that probably a lot of people would think are crazy and even doctors would think are crazy. But you know what? It's working for me. I'm almost
That's what I'm saying, right?
a year on this diet and it's working. So,
I mean, people can think crazy all day long. Who cares? Because if it works for you, you could just be like, I don't know. You could be eating Fruit Loops all the time, and if it like makes your hair grow back, or gives you a 6-pack, or gets your blood sugars leveled, or whatever, like if it works for you, that it works for you, right? People are uniquely built, so what works for somebody might not work for somebody else.
That's true. It's all on your body chemistry and whatever. And, this was a theory and I was like, let me test it on myself and I'm going for it.
So you're eating healthier and stuff. What about, are you exercising? You're working out? You're talking about doing yoga. Is that
I'm doing yoga every morning. So I'm doing this body awake yoga by Dr. Sue Mortar. And it's really amazing. So she does a lot of breath work in the yoga. So you'll be in downward dog and she tells you exactly how to breathe, up through your arms to, your pelvis and then down through your legs or vice versa. And with a chant too sometimes. And she varies her classes. So every class is very, different and you're activating different muscle groups and things like that. So I've found it just extremely helpful. Plus just the centering too, the centering of your spirit, like in your body. It just makes for a great day then because, do it in the morning and then you're just like, oh, the rest of my day, I can just do this with a lot of ease and grace,
Yeah. Well, how long is the sessions that you do every day? Like an hour?
They're at least an hour and sometimes they're an hour and a half. And once in a while she has a special one and that'll be 2 hours.
Yeah. And so you always do it in the morning, you said?
I've been doing it, in the morning every day so far.
Nice. Have you found yourself getting more stronger, more flexible, seeing more tone in your body and stuff like that?
All of those things, but you know what? It goes in waves. I noticed with my body, with what I'm healing, that there's sometimes a deconstruction, reconstruction phase where there might be like a day or two where I'm just like so sore. I'm in a crabby mood. Everything hurts. I can barely move my body. I'm stiff. And then that starts to work itself out. And then all of a sudden, maybe 2 days later, I'm doing better than I've ever done. And then, that will go for a few days and then it repeats all over again where it's like, oh, I hit the spot where, maybe my body's detoxing or decided to, reconstruct something on the inside. And then I'm in that mode again where, oh, I don't feel so great,
Yeah.
And so, just go through that.
I've been, I do a lot of like weightlifting and I do some boxing stuff and all that. I need to get into yoga. I keep saying this, but because yoga is really good for injuries or strengthening your body to keep from having injuries, especially like in your joints, strengthens all your ligaments and tendons and stuff. And I really need that with the stress that I put my body under, like lifting heavy things, pick them up, I put them down,
Well, I highly recommend her yoga. It's $20 a month, or you can pay $200 for the whole year, and you can watch all of the replays at any time. So
yeah, cool. Yeah. I have to look into that. I have to be careful though. My friend, I promised my friend Suzanne from Manchester. She's a yoga instructor, and she has classes, and she's like, you are one of my students. I was like, I haven't even taken a class yet. She was like, it doesn't matter. I'm saying it. I'm claiming it. And I'm like, all right. So I gotta be careful with that. But yeah, I'll definitely look into it. What's the doctor's name again? Say it again.
Dr. Sue Mortar.
Sue Mortar. Is this, what is this person a doctor of?
She's a doctor of chiropractic, and she's a spiritual teacher.
Nice. Doctor of chiropractic. Don't you know that chiropractors aren't real doctors, Tara? God, where have you been? Come on, cut it out. Have you heard that a lot? Yeah, I guess you guys probably don't get that too much out in Colorado. I feel like that's probably a big thing out there.
I mean, whatever. They said Dr. Jill Biden wasn't a real doctor either. But if you have taken enough schooling to get that title, then you're a doctor. It's when the title says MD at the end of it, that means you're a medical doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, when I was younger, when people had PhDs and professors and stuff, and they were like doctors, scientists, and they're like doctors, and I was like, and then I was confused because I always, as a kid, I was like, oh, but this person's not. They're not helping people with their health. They're just like building a rocket or something. I'm like, why do they call it a doctor? I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense. Mom, how's that person a doctor? And she couldn't explain anything. She's Vietnamese. She doesn't understand anything. She was like, I don't know. Go ask your sister. But yeah, for the longest time, I was like, oh, so if they're a doctor, it doesn't necessarily. And then I finally looked into it and I was like, oh, now I get it. It doesn't have anything to do. A lot of people, though, adults, like 40, 50-year-olds, still don't know that to this day, right?
That's probably a failing of our education system.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I literally had somebody come up once. I had this colleague who was a professor, and he had a doctorate in, what was it? God, I don't remember. But I remember this guy being like, oh, he's a doctor? Like, well, I probably need to see. You recommend him? I need to see him. I'm having problems with my gout or something. And I was like, no. He's not going to do. She's like, well, you said he was a doctor. I was like, he is. But he's not like a medical doctor. She said, what are you talking about? All doctors, you got to do medicine. And I was like, oh, man, I don't want to explain this to you right now. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. PhD, you could be a doctor, anything. I'd love to be a doctor of like, just, what is it? Thugonomics, Matt. But Dr. Thugonomics. Anyways, sorry, I'm being silly here. That's what we do. We let our hair down. Yeah. You, with the breathing techniques and stuff, do you do outside of the yoga, do you do breathing exercises just to themselves? Do you meditate and do breathing? How does that look?
Meditate and do breathing. Yeah, pretty much.
What does that look like?
And I guess I even do it outside of meditating. So there's one practice that's called central channel breath. And so that would be starting 2 feet below your feet, breathe up to your pelvis, and then breathe out the top of your head. And then breathe back down through the top of your head into your pelvis, and then out the bottom of your feet. And so you do that really slowly. And another one would be to do the heart coherence breath. So that would be breathing up through the bottom of your feet, all the way into your belly, into your chest, into the upper lobes of your lungs. Breathe bigger than your body, and then shoot it out in every single direction like a sphere. And then come back and do it again. So start over from the bottom and go through and breathe that. So both those breaths are really good. The central channel is like a thing in yoga, it's called the Sushumna. And so that runs through your body, this energetic channel right through the center. And that central channel breath follows it and kind of like cleans it out and carves it and polishes it. And the other breath with the heart coherence is actually for your aura, so it's like expanding and clearing out your aura in every direction. So both of them are really useful if you have any kind of overwhelm or anxiety or anything like that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you right now. There's probably people listening to this. What the is she talking about, man? How you shoot your breath out? It didn't make no sense. He's crazy because she's from Colorado. I'm just kidding. Any of my southern gents listening to that? Just talking about breathing. Look into it. Breathing technique. Let's do one right now. Can we do a simple? Coach me through it. Like do something simple that I can do on the podcast right now.
The central channel breath. Let's do that one. So close your eyes.
All right.
Start from 2 feet below your feet and breathe up through your legs all the way into your pelvis and expand your belly. And now breathe out through your belly all the way up to the upper lobes of your lungs and shoot it out the top of your head. Now breathe in from the top of your head all the way down through your solar plexus, all the way into your belly, and then shoot it out from your belly down your legs, down to 2 feet into the ground.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It felt good. Yeah. I definitely have to practice that.
I didn't
More.
mention, but it's through the nose only. So keep your mouth closed.
Oh, well, damn. I effed it up. I'll try it again later. Just the nose. Just the nose. Gotcha.
Just the nose.
That's really cool. And so you do this every single day, huh? You don't skip a beat?
Yeah, don't skip it. There was even a time where my anxiety was so bad with whatever COVID and Christmas and all of this stuff that I wrote it on my wrist, CCB, to remind myself every time I got anxious just to go right there and do that breath, because I would get all anxious and I would even forget the simplest things like breathing. And I was just in this whatever, like when you run around with like a chicken with your head cut off, like crazy. And then I would be like, oh, okay. I would look at my wrist and be like, okay, breathe. Essential channel breath. Yeah.
You want to know something interestingly ironic? Miss swearing off pot because it was a bad thing for you. You breathe in enough oxygen, you get high.
True. Maybe that's why I don't need it anymore.
How about
breathing
that?
Enough.
Right. You switch one high with the other. Yeah, oxygen, man, is good. Get a lot of it in there. Saturate your blood. Fresh oxygen, saturate those blood cells. It's good stuff. You get the people that do like anaerobic exercise get a lot. Like I was looking at some stat sheet on it. Their level of saturation and oxygen is like through the roof, because they're breathing so heavy. They're doing these anaerobic movements. Like a lot of martial artists and stuff like that do that stuff, or sprinters. And that stuff's good too. Real good. I love it. I love this is pretty good. Have you enjoyed your first time doing a recorded broadcast?
This is great, actually. I don't know. I was getting a little bit of nerves right at the beginning before we even started, but it all went away.
You weren't as bad as my last guest. He was really nervous. He was in studio. He was never done anything like that before, and I get it. Like it.
Maybe that's because we started breathing. I don't know.
Maybe so. It's funny that you say that too. Sometimes, like if things are going to make me nervous or whatever, I'll do like a weird. It's something I just made up my own, but like I will what is it? Like I'll breathe all the way in, and then I'll hold it. I'll hold the top of the breath for X amount of time, and then I'll breathe the breath all the way out. Breathe it all the way out, and then I'll hold it again, and then I'll just hold it until I can feel myself like, oh, I need to breathe, and it's like oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna die, and then I'll finally just like, and I'm just like sucking in all this air, and it literally cures any anxiety, any nervousness. It's gone because all I wanted to do was just breathe. And like people are like, that's crazy. Why do you do that? Like you're gonna pass out. Like I wouldn't do that. It's like that's crazy. It's like you're gonna die or something.
But isn't that the last part of the Wim Hof breathing? I mean, that you just
is it?
explained.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about William Hof. This is just something I started doing, and I liked it because I like doing crazy shit and challenging myself in weird ways. Part of the reason why I started taking cold showers wasn't just because I'd heard how healthy it was and stuff like that, but it's just because I'm crazy. And I always think about
secretly a Wim Hof like devotee, and you don't even know it because he's all about the cold showers and that breathing.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to just challenge myself too. Like I've done like really weird. I'll slap. This is good. I don't want people to think I don't care if they think I'm crazy. There's literally times like I've literally in situations like I'm trying to get pumped up for something, or just I like challenging my physique and challenging my physicality, and I'd slap the piss out of myself. Right?
You're that guy in Fight Club? Dang.
Yes. I mean, I want you to hit me as hard as you can, Tara. You ever been in a fight before? Me either. But how can you know yourself truly if you've never been in a fight before? I don't want to die without any scars. I love that movie. And then the book is even better. Tara Phoenix, I've had a lot of fun talking to you.
Yeah, it's great.
I love your home. It looks so feng shui.
Thank you.
It looks really good. Like it's a really nice home. If I come out to Colorado, you're gonna board with you? You're gonna make me get a hotel?
I do have a spare room. You'd hang out. Yeah.
Yeah. You sure? Matt, when we go out to Colorado, I'm gonna hang out at Tara's place, smoke lots of pot. I kid. I jest. Tara Phoenix, you're lovely. Thank you for coming on here. You're my good friend, and you've educated me on a lot of stuff. It's breathing stuff, and people finding out, like trying how to get an LLC and stuff like that. It's really cool. You're super bright. You're super smart. Not
you.
that you don't look like you would be, but just like you're a very bright individual. I think that was one thing that stood out about me. Just very well articulated with the way things are in life, and I like that. That's why you're my pal. But now to the part of the show where I ask people, and you discussed this a couple times before. So, Tara Phoenix, what do you wrestle with? What are your average Joe struggles in life that you try to overcome, and what are you learning from it, and how do you fight with it? What's the struggle there?
I'm on a natural healing journey. So in 2007, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I was probably ill before then. And if you don't know, fibromyalgia means pain in muscles. And after, whatever years of being on some pretty nasty medications that are like numbing drugs, like muscle relaxers and sleeping pills and things like that. When I did get that corporate buyout, I just decided to quit everything and go all natural. And so I switched over to cannabis and CBD. And I've just been on that journey then of, letting my body heal itself. Because I think having fibromyalgia is bad, but taking those prescription pills for all of those years that numbed me out, it didn't help. I think it made it worse. So that's why, I've been on this journey of really getting back into my body and getting more centered, and hence all the breath work and things like that, doing the yoga and everything like that.
Is fibromyalgia, that was like your biggest thing? Was there any other like health issues that you were dealing with that
there's a billion.
Naturopath, like
my digestion wasn't working right, and my energy level was low and things like that. And like I mentioned before, I got in touch with a nutritionist, and this nutritionist has a theory that for whatever reason, it's like genetic or just how the illness progressed through my body. My B1 vitamin isn't being used good enough, and I need to take a lot more. So I'm taking really heavy doses now of B1 vitamin, along with, big doses of calcium and magnesium and potassium. Because if you think about it, just our food, the way it's grown in the United States, it doesn't have the minerals value that it used to have, like way back in the day. So we're losing out on that. And so this is kind of a way to, balance that out, put it into more harmony, and also to harmonize in my body, because probably I was low on those things before. And I'm just eating like a keto diet. So it's very much more meat with these low oxalate vegetables. So oxalates are crystals that are in plants, and I guess even humans produce them. They're crystals that are like natural, you would say, like deterrents to like other pests, for the plant. And if you eat too many vegetables that contain like high oxalates, they can build up in your body if your body's not good at getting rid of them. And that might be a thing. So it was a theory for me to try, and I've been doing it for a year, and it's working. So my pain levels are down. My digestion is working now. My thyroid is just about normal, and that's with no medicine. So that's pretty darn good. So I'm just going to keep going on this and see where it gets me.
Now, do you do extensive, I guess, research on your actual biology? Like, do you go do blood work and stuff?
Yeah, I've been doing blood work like once a year to get, baselines or whatever and see where I'm at.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah. The doctor's office used to work with, we did people, had their blood work done, blood panel. We had like all these markers. And then we did a parasitology. We did a stool analysis. Yeah. And it was really great because the doctor was in functional medicine. So he was like, he was trying to figure out like what it was that people's bodies were lacking, what they needed. People need more vitamin D or like whatever it is. They have a mineral deficiency, like things like that. And that was very, very interesting. And it's, I feel like a lot of people need to look into that stuff. It's very important to be able to like kind of like customize your body, how you can try to heal yourself and get healthier. So what does like a meal of yours look like?
I'm
Generally.
probably eating like close to like a half a pound of meat of like chicken or pork or something, with some
now when
vegetables.
you eat the meat, the chicken and the pork, is it clean? Like, what is it like?
You mean like organic and all that stuff?
Like organic.
I mean, close to it, I guess, as close as I can get. It's at least all natural or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you do beef? Because you said chicken and pork.
Well, I'm not doing beef because I found that along with maybe the oxalate, I also have a histamine thing going on where I'm sensitive to histamines, and histamines are high in beef because beef is aged. So that means it's, those bacteria are growing. And then histamines are also high in fish too, because unless you would catch the fish and eat it right away, but anything that, you can buy in the store, that's pretty high in histamine. So I've been staying away from that for now.
Yeah. Most conventional beef is aged, but you can get like the, what is it? The free range beef or whatever. And that they don't age that stuff, I don't think. It's like pretty fresh kill that you're getting. And then what about like wild caught fish?
If if it's frozen at sea, then it's good to eat. But if it's, just the regular way they process it, it wouldn't be because too much bacteria would grow.
What about stuff like lamb or like wild game stuff, deer, elk?
I think that would be great for me. It's just that I don't really get it that much, around here.
I gotcha.
The lamb I get once in a while.
Another thing when it comes to meat and stuff, a lot of people don't realize this and they might, turn their nose to it, but like organ meat is really good for you, especially like
the liver. Yeah.
Liver is like one of the most like nutrient dense like meats on the face of the planet. Like you get so much.
And I've been making bone broth. So I've been cooking, like if you cook a whole chicken or something that's pork with bones in it or anything that has bones in it, you cook it low on the crock pot for, like 12 hours or something, then you're making a bone broth. And so, after you get the meat out of there, then you can strain out the broth and freeze it, or whatever in sections so that you have, a serving size. So you can have a serving size of bone broth every day, and that's high, in a lot of good minerals.
And so, what kind of what kind of vegetables are on your plate along with your chicken and your pork stuff?
It's like a lot of stuff from the cabbage family. So it's like the bok choys, the baby bok choy, the cabbage, the Napa cabbage. What else? The collard greens, mustard greens, they're all good. The ones to avoid are like the kale, except for dino kale, but all the other kales are very high in oxalate. And rhubarb is like high in oxalate, and so is spinach. So like having a spinach smoothie is not really the greatest idea.
And so would you find like doing a diet like this for yourself, is it difficult or is it easy? Is it simple and you enjoy it?
Well, I don't know if I enjoy it, but I see that it works. So I'm just going to keep going because I was having way too many symptoms before where I was really not feeling good, getting like these cold chills and whatever, and getting chronic tiredness. So now that I've been really strict with the diet and taking all the supplements I mentioned, the chronic fatigue is like going away. So I'm getting more energy. Like I said, there's still some days once in a while where whatever, my body decides to reorganize itself. But overall, I'm making like super amounts of progress. So
yeah, that's really good. And also you're saying like you don't completely enjoy it, but I imagine because of the effects that it has on your health and it makes you feel so good and so healthy that it kind of does make you enjoy it. Even it's kind of like the concept of like the first time I started drinking beer, right? I was like, ugh, why do people like this? This is disgusting. It's like reconstituted piss. But then like as I'm drinking more, I'm like, ugh, and then I'm getting that buzz. And I'm like, oh man, I kind of feel good.
yeah,
I was like, this just tastes like
that's
shit.
kind of exactly it. Well, it doesn't even taste like shit, just that you're eating the same kinds of things, you know, every day. Like
Yeah.
I'm not eating popcorn and I don't eat chocolate, you know, and I miss peanut butter, but I see the results in me that I'm feeling good every day. And that keeps me going because that's my goal. I mean, I don't want to feel horrible. So, yeah, I'd rather have a clear mind. I think my brain is working a lot better. And that's the other thing with getting off all those pills. I think it's taking me like 2.5 years to 3 years for my brain to really start working well again, you know, because those pills kind of mess up your brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're changing your brain chemistry, you know, at this really deep down level, and your brain gets used to that and it stops manufacturing its own stuff that it used to do, you know. So for it to come back alive, it takes a while. And maybe it takes all that fat from meat and all the nutrients in the meat, you know, like people are down on meat, but meat has a lot of nutrients and it has fat, and your brain needs that to heal any kind of brain injuries or imbalances.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You talked to what is it, Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter. She's done that. She's like promoting that carnivore diet like hardcore, man. And that's all these people are eating is just meat, and it's literally like it's making people healthier.
Well, her dad is trying to recover from, you know, having like not exactly similar, but, you know, a thing where he had so much medication that he's trying to get off of it now and he's having symptoms. So, yeah, I could see how that is working for him.
Carnivore diet. I tried it for like a week and I was like, huh. I thought I would like just eating meat. And I was like, I kind of miss the other stuff too. I want some vegetables. I want some starches and some carbs. Yeah. So do you can you ever do you ever have cheat meals? Can you do that? Or is that a thing? Like
I don't do cheat meals because then I'll have a symptom that I don't want. So right now I'm not, but I think someday in the future, I'm going to be able to do it. Like, you know,
after
I think
your body's like healed itself.
Yeah. Right? After it's healed itself at like these base levels, like it's really going down to some base level stuff now. Like I'm getting into parts of my body that I'm like, I didn't even know that muscle was there, you know, like, so yeah.
That's awesome. And so your health and vitality is something that one of your biggest wrestling things that you've dealt with. And I feel like you're probably in a pretty decent headspace about it now, right? Because you even with like all the health issues, it was causing a lot of like psychological health issues with you. I know, right? And that was
a lot of anxiety and a lot of lethargy, you know, and just a lot of beating myself up. All of that kind of stuff.
And that was probably also another reason why you're just piling on the marijuana, right? Because you're also dealing with that, so you're trying to numb all of the issues and all that stuff. Tara, if you this is a new question that I ask people, and I like it, and people have liked it. I was like, oh, it's a very interesting question. But if we had some kind of time machine communication device, telephone, whatever, and you could talk to yourself in the past, and maybe go back to the past where you were at your lowest, however many years that was ago, or however long it was ago. What do you say to yourself now? You call and you're like, Tara, this is you from the future. I just wanted to say, ... What do you say? What does that conversation look like?
That I'm here to take care of you now in every way. That things are going to work out. That your wholeness will be revealed. And to have hope.
Now, going in the reverse of that, you call yourself 10 years, 20 years in the future? What do you say to your future self, or what do you ask? What does that conversation look like? Who are you in that future scenario?
Yeah, who am I in that future scenario? I think that's a big part of what I wrestle with, is that I don't see myself in the future. Maybe because I projected myself when I was a little kid. I was constantly projecting into the future that I projected so hard that I wasn't even there anymore.
Oh, goodness.
So yeah, I kind of don't even look at that, but let's see. And then sometimes I get caught up in like, if I look at myself in the future, am I just fantasizing away my problems, of the present? I don't want to do that either. I want to be really present with the present of what's going on, and yeah, just be with it. So I guess in the future, so it's me now calling my future self. I would want to ask, like, when does the healing happen? When does the full reveal occur? Or when do I cross a threshold of healing to where my body doesn't hurt anymore?
Nice. And then she goes, "Oh, honey, you're going to love this. So, hold on, let me call you back."
She probably says, "It was always in your power. Just click your heels 3 times, do central channel breathing."
Nice.
I mean, because really that's what the spiritual teachers tell us. It is in our power, to heal.
I agree. Yeah. Like we all have it built in to self-heal in every aspect of the word heal, in every way, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, what have you. It's what's beautiful about human beings, in part. Thank you so much for being on the show. I hope you had fun, and I hope it was a nice little ride for your first outing. I feel like you definitely have the potential to be a repeat guest sometime in the future.
I didn't even get to any of my material, so yeah.
You didn't? Oh yeah. You had a poem. Can you read one of them before we go off? But before that, if you want to promote anything you're doing, your business you got going on, or what you have going on in the future, your social media, you can do that now, my darling dear.
Okay. Well, my health business is divinecompasshealing.com. And right on there, you can get a free Spotify playlist for self-healing. So that's my free gift to you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bunch on there for sleeping, for if you just want to chill out and not listen to vocals, or if you want to listen to vocals and dance, all different kinds.
Nice. Now you're going to read us a poem that you wrote, and I love poetry. I love it. So go ahead and recite it to us, and also give us the title. But tell us, I don't know, what's the deal with the poem? Why'd you write it? What's it about?
Okay, the poem is titled "Fooled," and it's about my healing journey, and it's telling about, I guess, my feelings and just what happened to me, and where I'm going.
Okay, excellent. Let's hear it.
Fooled. Smiling, smiling, smiling. Tending so no one can see. Walking on glass. Projecting only acceptable responses. An armored filter around the real me. Repeat tomorrow. Repeat for a year. Repeat for decades. Even I am fooled. Thinking conditioned responses and ancient schemes are the real me. Trapdoor in my mind as boxes shelved and stacked, leaking vile, unexpressed emotions packed away. I stand upon the trapdoor, living my life until one day I want more. I want the real me. The road to return filled with dust and gravel, no water, no mirage. Some days I want to give up. I don't. I won't. Revealing my true self, my most important journey.
Yay. That was good. I really like that. Thank you for sharing that. It was beautiful.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being on the show, Tara.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
You were absolutely lovely, and I love this journey that you're on. You're happy and healthy, and that makes me happy. I like it. I like seeing it, especially with somebody that's my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode of the Wrestling Diaries podcast show for the average Joe. You can thank Tara for that tagline if you like it. It rhymes and it's all cute and stuff. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. Follow and share. Go to YouTube for the video content. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell for more content we release once a week. An episode where all these cool, inspiring people are on here talking about their lives and their struggles and promoting their being. Don't be fooled, but be fueled by something that is incredibly positive and optimistic in life, and get outside and enjoy it, and try to find out a way to be a better person and heal yourself from all of your issues, not just the physicals, but heal yourself from all the damage from all those monsters and demons that have been tearing you up all through your life, like Tara here. And I feel like you'll come out as a more of an inspired individual. But what do I know? I'm just like a regular guy, just shooting the on the show. What do you wrestle with, and how can you beat it? One love.